Hey, y'all, I'm Ebony K. Williams here, host and attorney extraordinaire. Welcome to Holding Court, where we analyze the very latest in legal headlines, the ones that got all the streets talking. You know what we do? We dig deep into how the courts impact the culture. We break it down, going straight from gavel to your news feed. And every week, we keep it 100. Right, Dustin Ross?
That's right.
Dustin Ross, my love, how are you? You're looking just moisturized and like you're on the cusp of a spring season upon us.
Well, thank you. I am. I'm in a very celebratory mood because it is still Blackest History Month.
Indeed.
And I feel like we're both in a celebratory mood this morning. You know, we just both woke up on our black shit this morning.
Listen, you're getting the visual. Yeah, you're getting the visual.
That's right. And the full effect around here. But I feel good though, Ebony. It's been a great weekend, a great week. I'm very happy and my cup is full. So I'm very happy.
Well, let's talk about how
week.
full it really is, Dustin, because I know one thing that we need to be celebrating is the fact that Dustin Ross, ladies and gentlemen, sold out his very first live in-person stand-up comedy show. I'm so excited, brother. Congratulations to you.
Thank you so much, Ebony. I'm very proud of that.
Down at City Winery, y'all. Listen, it's Vibes, March 17th here in New York City. And I know this is going to be the first of many. I'm just going to put it out there. You know?
Yeah. It's going to be something new.
I actually was texting a friend to the show, Natalie, and I was like, Gary, did you get our fucking tickets? And I was like, and don't get no stools in the back neither. You need to get the frontest. The frontest most tickets available.
Yeah, but you don't get no stools in the back either.
Because this ain't that kind of show.
Yeah, okay. Just so much love. Outpouring.
So we're on the front row, so don't worry.
We'll
be sitting there smiling.
To see you. And I promise, initially, you know, I was going to roast the front row like they used to do on Comic View and Def Comedy Jam back in the day when comedy was a real thing.
Yes.
But this time it's gonna be with love, so I can't wait. We're gonna have a good time on March 17th.
We ready.
I'm very grateful. Thank you. I'm so grateful for y'all coming too. So
we can't wait. Well, we're just excited to see you. I've seen so many great talents at that location. And by the way, it's just a beautiful venue too, right?
Yeah.
Like it's vibes. It's vibes. It's going to be fantastic, a real first-class affair, and we cannot wait as we enjoy Dustin and our charcuterie, okay?
That's right, goddammit. Bring the food. I can't wait. I'm so happy. Yes.
Some fine charcuterie and a fine Cabernet. It's going to be fabulous.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you so much. I'm happy. Yes. Very happy.
Also, in the spirit of Black History Month, D, we want to congratulate, of course, all of our now fellow NAACP award winners.
Okay, how about that? Okay.
Yeah.
In the company.
I saw that from York. I saw that from your Instagram, Dustin. I said, I know that's the subtle flex. I just wanted.
That's what it is. We're a part of the club now. We're part of the club, thanks to our incredible audience and our dedicated support who voted us into that position. We are so grateful for that, and damn it, we're there. So every year we have something to celebrate as we watch others join this club. So I'm grateful.
Club. Amen. Black excellence, all 365.
Hell
okay.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. This is going to be a great docket. Nice mix of topics here for y'all today. We're going to start by, it wouldn't be a Holding Court docket without some entry of Sean Combs. My goodness.
He can't stop, and the news won't stop, will it?
It won't stop. It won't stop. So we got a new update on Sean Combs. I'm sure y'all read one of his lawyers. This is, I believe, the only Black attorney on his legal team, but certainly the most prominent Black attorney on his legal team. We're talking about Anthony Rico, has filed a motion to withdraw. He's trying to quit the case, Dustin, and we are on the case. So we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of why that might be the case. Then we're going to move on. When I sent this one to Ashley, she said, oh, hell. Our producer. But
shout out to her, Ebony. She won. She's one of the winners this weekend.
Yes.
Shout out to Ashley.
Move on. Congratulations to our producer extraordinaire, Ashley Hobbs. She's won 3 NAACP awards.
Quattro, my darling.
Four. But with 3 different shows. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, how about when it's you? How about when it's actually just you? Excellent
You're the
work,
reason.
Ashley. Yeah.
Literally for the season. She's the reason for the season.
For the winning season. How about that? Yeah, I know she won with that.
She's easy to work with. How about
fantastic. A dream to work with. She won, I think, 2 this year for the brand new show she's doing with the fantastic Sterling K. Brown and his and actress Ryan. And we just are so proud, could not
Yes.
be more proud. So congratulations, Miss Ashley Hobbs. Okay, now that I have some act right, let's get back to this docket because I don't want a whipping, Dustin.
I know we got to get the housekeeping done. We got to get our housekeeping done. Okay.
Because listen, next up on the docket is a lady who was giving her son a whooping, and it went very left. You guys, this is a Manhattan NYPD officer. She was off duty at the time, but an NYPD officer, whooping, spanking, beating on her 10-year-old son, is now facing charges. Yes, she is. She's facing charges of child endangerment, and we're going to get into that. And of course, Ashley said, "Oh hell," because this is a big topic in the culture. Let's
Yes.
just be real about it when it comes to kids and whoopings and poppings and belts and spankings and switches and shit. A lot of people feel a certain way, Dustin, in this culture. So, I was intrigued by the story, and I have some things to say about it, as you might
You a
imagine. And
mama.
I know you do too. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a mama, but you know what I was before I was a mama, Dustin? I was a child. I was a child. So, yeah, we're gonna get into it. And then last, but certainly not least, this was an interesting one. Okay, how do I frame this one? Okay, Tia and Tamera, the twins. Okay, y'all know one is married, I guess was married now to Corey. The other one married to Adam Housley. Adam, I actually crossed paths for several years with Adam at Fox News and the LA Bureau, so I will be sharing my experience when we get to
Firsthand.
of course. There's no better kind.
I
There's
want
no
your
better kind.
firsthand experience on the
Yeah.
black hand side
On the
this
black
month
hand
too, Ebony.
side.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And so Adam, y'all know, has caught heat this week by opening his mouth. I would say totally unnecessarily, by the way. Not
Thin-lipped
even,
mouth.
not very thin-lipped mouth, having a whole lot to say about who gets food stamps and what they do with the food stamps and how it's so horrible and all this shit. Of course, he was doing so in the context of supporting, amplifying, congratulating a MAGA Trump administration possible policy of banning SNAP recipients, also, of course, known as food stamps, from being able to purchase any type of, I guess, fast food, junk food, if you will, with the SNAP benefits. So we're going to get into that. But really what we're going to talk about with this, y'all, is the cultural component, right? You've got Tamera married to the white man. Of course, that's really not so much the thing, right? The thing is this particular white man that she chose to be married to, and his propensity, his penchant for opening his mouth and speaking in ways that only could be construed as negative about Black people and Black culture. And what to do with that? What to
Yep.
do with that?
I can't wait to talk about that.
I know you can't, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it, Dustin, because I've had an evolution of thoughts about this particular dynamic, and it's only our business because they're public figures. Let's be clear.
Yep.
These were two private citizens. I don't give a damn who you marrying, what y'all do, but because
Exactly.
they sit so publicly at the intersection of culture, and so many of us, Dustin, right? We grew up with the sister.
Yes, we
Come on
did.
now.
Yes, we
So
did.
so
And we
watching.
chose one. But go ahead, Ebony.
Well, I don't know that we're the only ones that chose one. Seemed like the other one
Oh.
chose.
Oh man, how about that? But listen,
We gonna get
what did
into it.
Portia say? We'll get there. We're not
We'll
there
get
yet,
there.
but we'll get there.
We'll
We'll
get there.
get
All right,
there.
y'all. So we'll start at the top of the docket with Puff. Okay, breaking news here. Just as soon as we got off with the one story of Sean Combs and his legal team trying to dismiss one of the 3 federal indictments against him under the premise of it's racist, y'all are just using this against me because I'm a wealthy Black man in America, we couldn't even wrap that docket item up before there's yet another one. Okay, now we've got one of Sean Combs' attorneys, a Black man by the name of Anthony Rico, making a motion to withdraw from the case, Dustin. He is literally asking the court, asking the judge for permission to withdraw. He doesn't want to work on this case anymore. He doesn't want Sean Combs as a client anymore. He doesn't want to represent any of these charges anymore. And that's it. That's all. When you saw Anthony Rico, because of course they run the headline, but of course they got the picture on it, right?
Of
So
course.
we all got to see
the real headline, right?
Right, because we see this brother with his glasses, his bow tie. It's very much giving Bean Pie. It's very much giving Malcolm X, which we love. It's giving The Nation, I should say. And he's saying, I want out. What was your first thought, Dustin, when you saw this Black man in this moment, in this particular moment, asking to quit the case?
as a person who had not associated with the names with faces of the legal team of Diddy, right? I've just been, I like to call him Puff. I'm from a certain
Let's do
area
that.
of
Let's do
his
that.
career, right?
Yeah.
So as I'm watching the happenings of this trial, you know, take place, I haven't been associating a name with the faces of his legal team, right? Because there's been so many headlines.
Same.
So I read the headline, right? And was like, oh, damn, one of his lawyers quit. Then I started noticing the photos that were attached to the headline. And to me, like I said, those were the actual headline because the photos made me ask questions, right? And I think that they were intentionally chosen. He looked very black and very outspoken in every
Yes.
photo that I saw. And so that person quitting Puff's legal team is what the real headline is. One of the black voices on his legal team who I'm sure felt, you know, an obligation to defend him in a certain way in the midst of this chaos, that motherfucker quit. And so that made my wheels spin. Like if he's quitting someone who I would assume, who I'm assuming I should say, had a personal stake in the defense of Puff, you know what I'm saying? Based on the imagery they used to represent that that specific part of his legal team,
Yes.
I think that is the real headline. Like even the people who are like, as a black person, I'm going to try to help you fight, are quitting.
Yeah.
That sounds like a sinking ship to me.
So let's go deeper because you said something very important there, Dustin. Well, you said a lot that was important, but the one thing you said is, and I think most of us would agree that we hadn't really done the work of deciphering who was on this legal team. We knew it was, we assumed some type of dream team of sorts, right? We know that, you know, it's going to be plentiful people. I think there's at least 4 or 5 lawyers, maybe more. And quite frankly, I presumed they were white men because I hadn't heard any of the kind of high profile type of colleagues. I just hadn't heard any names that I'm personally familiar with.
Right.
Anthony Rico, let me be clear, is a big dog. He really is. So let me just say, share a little bit about him. And this goes to your point, Dustin, of perhaps there might be some level of personal stake. It would not be out of scope. It would not be totally outrageous to presume that this, just by virtue of commonality amongst them as black men. So how about, in addition to both being black men, both being of similar age, how about they're both from Harlem? They're actually both from Harlem. Yes. Yes. Anthony Rico, born and raised in Harlem, New York. Very similar upbringing to Sean Combs, coming up in those types of communities where you're seeing black men targeted in these horrific, racist, deadly ways, you know, on a daily basis. So there's that. I want to say that Anthony Rico has been practicing law longer than I have certainly been alive, and damn near you. He's literally since 82, dead ass.
Why would you say it like that? Certainly longer than I've been alive.
No, I'm not the youngest bitch. So if therefore,
we having a black show today. This is the black episode. Okay. Certainly longer than I've been alive, goddamn.
I'm just trying to put some scope on it, Dustin.
Okay, some context. You know, that's right. Yes.
That's it. Because, you know, they like to talk about us over 40 women hitting walls and shit. So,
Please. Hitting your stride.
Right, listen. But if that's the case, that's how this brother been practicing law for literally 42 years is the point. So very long-standing practice, and not just like an everyday practitioner. This gentleman has been awarded by the Bar Association, by the American Bar Association, from the Black Bar Association. He's gotten several awards. He's a professor at Fordham University right here in New York, an esteemed community of legal scholars. He's really, really that dude. He's represented very many high profile cases, including the US v. Osama bin Laden. He's been counsel for one of the defendants in the Sean Bell case, which we all know and remember. Yeah, so to wrap it up, Anthony Rico ain't no ordinary motherfucker. Okay, this is a esteemed, prestigious legal entity.
That's why they named that charge after him.
Rico, you know
what? He's serious. You know what I'm saying? And they don't fuck around with him. That's why they say we're gonna name the worst charge him. That's why. Go ahead.
We'll add an extra C to his name too,
right?
To let you know we're serious about it. Okay, so this is the level, jurors, of counsel that we're talking about. Okay, this is not just somebody plucked to join the legal team for optics. This
not
is a legitimate.
Chaser.
No, this ain't that. This ain't that. This is a highly skilled, highly, revered professional, even amongst his legal peers. And he's saying in this moment, y'all got it. I'm ready to go. Now, a lot of speculation, of course, and that's all people can really do, because as he should, he gave a very buttoned up, a very appropriate statement as to his request to leave. He said this, and I'm going to quote: "Although I have provided Sean Combs with the high level of legal representation expected by the court, under no circumstances can I continue to effectively serve as counsel for Mr. Combs." And he goes on to cite that he can't share more due to attorney-client privilege, which is our most esteemed privilege in the practice, as well as to be compliant with the ethics rules of our bar association. And that's right, Dustin. He would be absolutely out of order to share any more. And then he would actually put himself in peril and subject to all types of reprimands from the bar association, so he cannot say more. So those are saying, well, if you name it, no, he cannot name it. This is the extent to which he can name it. And so the court is going to have to make a decision about the court. I mean, the judge. Okay. So this is important, jurors. He's asking to quit, but be clear, he's still on the case right now. Right now, Anthony Rico is still a part of the Sean Combs legal defense. And this is important because him wanting to quit and him being actually off the case are two different things.
Oh.
And yeah. So in my practice experience, Dustin, there were not many times. Let me slow down. Let me slow down. Let me slow down. Telling on myself. Hold on now. There were a handful of times.
There were occasions.
Listen, 2 occasions. Now let me stop.
The deal.
Day and night. Stop. What the hell is wrong with you today?
February. Come on.
There were a handful of times, Dustin Ross, where I also wanted to remove myself from a case. Now, I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. 9 out of 10 times, this is because the client has not paid us. That is the most common reason.
Ebony, you not saying you think that's what's going on here?
No. Hold on.
Okay.
So 9 out of 10 times, when you see a lawyer putting in a motion to withdraw, it's because they have been working for free and they have not been paid.
Okay.
We saw this. One of Jen Shaw's lawyers tried to withdraw around that. But we know Jen Shaw was she halfway broke, so that makes sense. Who we know is not broke, or who we have no reason to believe would be anything near broke, is Sean Combs. So I actually do not, Dustin, think that is what's going on here.
Okay,
so I think this is the exceptional reason that a lawyer would ask to withdraw from a case, which is they have run up against a real dead end with their client. A real dead end that says every which way we try to create a defense strategy here. Whether or not Sean Combs is going to testify and take the stand, which will ultimately be Sean Combs, as is every defendant's choice. Lawyers can advise around it, but the defendant themselves gets to make the decision. And or the strategies itself, it says the lawyer just cannot in good faith continue to make any arguments that support the defense that the client wants, right? And or, now this is where it gets real muddy. The lawyer feels that something unethical is afoot as it relates to the defense strategy. So basically, it's like I can't knowingly support perjury, for instance, right? So if I'm representing Barbie,
me,
no, we're not doing it. There would never be a scenario. Right, there would never be a scenario, Dustin Ross, where my perfect angel.
Thank you, my Lord.
Because I know you ain't built for doing one day. You done told me that.
I'm not. I can't handle it because I'm gonna fight back. God damn it, y'all ain't gonna just get me, okay?
So I'm representing Barbie, right? And Barbie says, "Listen, Attorney Williams, straight up, I'm gonna just get up there and I'm gonna just say, it was my cousin." And I'm gonna say, but we know it wasn't your cousin because your cousin was yeah, but they can't prove that. So I'm gonna get up. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get up there and I'm gonna say da. At that point, Dustin, my hands are tied as the lawyer. Why? Because I can't reveal what my client has told me. That would be breaching the confidentiality of lawyer and client privilege, which is our most paramount sacred entity. But I also cannot, as a officer of the court, and let's be clear, lawyers are also including defense lawyers, not just the
Yeah.
prosecution. We think of the prosecutors as officers of the court. We think of them over there on that side of the courtroom with the police and the law enforcement. But you better fucking know that defense counsel has also taken that same oath. They put their hand likely on the same Bible and made a promise to the court to uphold the truth and nothing but the truth. Okay, so we cannot knowingly allow a client to lie on the stand or perpetuate a defense that is based on lies. See where I'm going? See where I'm going? So therefore, I have to believe, and looking at the timing, let's look at the timing because we cannot ignore the timing of this.
Yeah.
Somebody, since, there was a lot of stuff on the internet like, oh, well, this just means he knows he's guilty. I mean, come on, that doesn't fly
What a
because
novice take.
yeah, I mean, let me tell you why that doesn't land for me, Dustin. That doesn't land for me because number one, whether or not your client is guilty or innocent should not actually, and almost never has a bearing on whether or not a defense attorney accepts a case and moves forward with the case. Simply because that's not our job.
Right.
Our job is not to only represent the innocent. That's number one. In fact, we take an oath to not cherry pick our clients and our cases. The Sixth Amendment of the Constitution, look at your documents, this is what we mean at the end of the show. Why you can, why you still got a document. At the end, when Dustin says, read your terms and conditions, this is a part of what he's talking about, y'all.
Right.
It's not just a tongue-in-cheek saying. Sixth Amendment says every citizen has a right to defense. It doesn't say innocent citizens. It doesn't say citizens who've never done or committed any wrongs or crimes. It says every citizen. So let's be clear, y'all. Defense lawyers are not in the business of dropping clients because they've suddenly decided or found out or determined that they're guilty. That's not how it works. And let me tell y'all something. Let me do the Joe Biden whisper. Most clients are guilty.
How about that? That's why they need a lawyer.
Yeah, most clients are guilty in fact. Now, that doesn't mean that most clients should go to jail. Most clients should be convicted because there's still a process, Dustin, that must take place where a prosecutor must meet their burden of proof in an ethical, legal way. And absent that process being reached, that's called an acquittal. That's called reasonable doubt. So y'all just don't conflate this shit. Now, back to Sean Combs. The reason that I think the lawyer's timing matters is I could see a scenario, and this is me doing something we don't tend to do on this show, which is doing a little bit of speculation. I'm doing it, Dustin, based off of the facts that we do know.
Okay.
We do know that Anthony Rico is an esteemed attorney who is revered in all legal communities and particularly has been honored by the Black legal community. So this is a Black man through and through, and that's important because every Black lawyer ain't that.
How about that?
Okay. This is that. We know that Sean Combs is a little more than 2 months away from trial. We also know that Anthony Rico removing himself from the trial, if he is indeed able to be removed, will not delay the trial. This is very important too. Sometimes lawyers bow out as a form of a delay tactic for a defendant, especially a case like this where you have so many lawyers, you could technically, quote, afford to lose one. So, hey, file a motion to withdraw. That'll buy us some time. I've seen that. That happens. That's not this, y'all. Anthony Rico says in the motion, there are plenty of lawyers. We are not suggesting delay is necessary. Mr. Combs has an adequate legal team that is prepared to still move forward at trial in May as scheduled. So it's not a delay test. So we know what it's not. It's not a delay tactic. I do not believe for 1 second that this is some revolution of guilt or innocence at play. I don't believe that Sean Combs is not paying his legal bills. So I believe it's this. I believe Anthony Rico said, this is a step too far for me. This defense strategy that we just saw come out last week that is saying Sean Combs is being railroaded as a Black man in America, that this is a lynch effect against Sean Combs as a Black man because he is a Black man and only because he's a Black man. I believe ethically that might be a step too far for Anthony Rico as a Black man. Because I remember when, again, senior producer Ashley Hobbs of our show sent this over, or maybe I sent it to her, the original motion to dismiss the case off of the basis of racism. And we went back and forth as we tend to do. And she said something and I said something. I said, well, I can see some white men making this argument. And I literally said that. And if we was in court, I would call Ashley to the stand right now. I would make her testify that,
Right.
I can see some white men making that kind of argument. We'll see where it lands.
Mm.
But and that was me erroneously, Dustin, not realizing that this
Right.
very black man was also a part of that legal team, thus also making this argument. So you see what I'm saying? So now that I realize this black man was on that team, I could see him saying, it's like a group project and everybody want to do this one. And you like, I'm really not with it, but okay, I guess group majority rules. And then once it kind of goes all the way there, it's like, you know what? I actually can't rock with this.
I don't want my name attached to this.
I don't want, I can't, it's literally in conflict with my ethical duty. And because he is uniquely positioned as a black man, see, this is all a part of his lens.
Yeah.
So I can see these white men making this argument and not having the same level of internal conflict. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't have a lived experience. But I can see a black man who also was born and raised in Harlem, who know what this shit looks like, know what it feels like, and could be saying, you know what? On the worst day, this ain't that, and I'm not gonna sit up here and act like it is that when that really does exist, but this ain't where it applies. See,
that makes perfect sense to me, especially once you mentioned his lengthy laundry list of professional accolades and moments of recognition. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Those reflect a body of work as a legal professional that has been in support of blackness and has been respected by the black people in general who were aware of it.
Yes.
So him not wanting to attach himself, his name, his reputation to that sort of spaghetti being thrown at the wall is a brilliant assumption to make, Ebony.
I think so,
you're
and
right.
I think the timing. I think I could say, I could see maybe they were going back and forth. Like, are we really going to file this motion to dismiss based on the racism piece? Are we really going to do? And then ultimately, when it was done, because it has been done, Anthony Rico saying, so this is probably time for me to tap out. This is now the time for me to tap out. Again, y'all, I've not seen this. Anthony Rico has certainly not said this. I want to be clear, jurors. But this is me looking at all the facts that we do have on the table, going through a process of elimination. I don't think Sean Combs didn't pay his bill. I don't think that that this is a delay tactic by the defense. I think they are ready to go to trial, as ready as they're going to be. I think I know what it's not. So now we have to look carefully as to what it could be.
That made him close up that piano like on The Color Purple.
On The Color Purple.
Say, time to go.
Time to go. When I tell you I have that GIF in my phone, I've been using it very frequently since this new administration.
That's it.
Listen,
okay?
It's been time for me to pack up my piano and get the fuck out of here a few times.
Straight up.
Yeah, and so I think that might be what it is. I think this is Anthony Rico saying, you know what, y'all got it. And it actually couldn't stand in legitimacy, Dustin, that these other white male lawyers who have no lived experience being black men, let alone black men in Harlem, let alone black men in America, suspend belief in a way that allows them to make this racism, they just coming for you as a black man argument in good faith in a way that Anthony Rico maybe not.
Do you think that that was a decision made as a council, as a collective view, as a collective? Thank you.
Yeah.
Or do you think it was just his decision? Because maybe this is a part of the strategy. Maybe the legal team sees it how you see it, and they're like, you know what? We can sell this argument, but we can't do it with a black man on the team who has lived this experience and who people will contrast his experience with what we're saying.
Skeptical around it.
Yeah. Maybe it was, like, well, you go and we're going to go this way type shit.
Very well could be. Very well. And what we don't know is where Sean Combs fits into all of it. Like what his, pleasure, if you will, would be. Is it for Mr. Rico to stay or go? Very interesting. Well, listen, here's what's going to happen procedurally, y'all. There's going to be a hearing. The judge in the case will hear from Mr. Rico. It's possible, in I could see this possibly, Dustin, that they take a private in chambers type of moment. So this would be where attorney Anthony Rico could share more with the judge without it being public fodder, without him publicly breaching any client attorney privilege. And if the judge is satisfied that this is not a delay tactic, that this is not, something superficial, that this really is an existential ethical dilemma and crisis that would get in the way of the zealous advocacy and ethical execution of a lawyer and client relationship, I expect he will be allowed to withdraw, and the case will go on without him.
And can't wait to see how this rolls out, but I'm with you. I think you're right. That makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, that's what I think on that one. So, next up, off-duty NYPD officer, her name is Angelica Torres. She was arrested last week, Dustin. She was charged with endangering the welfare of a minor. She was arrested for the charge. And underneath the charges, what's going on here? Well, they say that she was slapping, whipping, beating her 10-year-old son with a belt, but not just a belt, a cell phone charger, cable, like, you know what I mean? What else? Slapping him in the face, whipping his arms, legs, and back with the belt, as well as the belt buckle. The child did suffer injury. The attacks apparently continued for 4 days. 4 days later, rather, when then she slapped the boy, knocked him on a table, struck him in the back of her head again with the cell phone charging cable. And this was all in the complaint filed with the Bronx District Attorney's Office. So Torres has been released without bail. So she was able to be released on her own recognizance. By the way, when they do that, that means for them, this is considered relatively low-level offense. I would anticipate, without more knowledge or facts, that this might be her first offense. And so that would track, and she's expected to face charges pretty soon. She'll be in court March 5th. She's been a NYPD officer since 2011, and she is assigned to a precinct up in Washington Heights. Before I say more, how does this headline land for you, Dustin?
Well, it's never okay to me. This is extreme measure of parenting, right? That a lot of particularly Black and parents of color choose to just beat the shit out of their child and beat them into submission and make them, respect them in that way. I think it's highly ineffective. It doesn't breed anything other than people who are full of trauma that needs to be addressed through years of very expensive professional help. And it's just simply unacceptable, especially coming from a motherfucker that's a cop. Especially coming from a cop with the last name Torres. You didn't see in the Bronx. Your ass didn't seen some shit, Torres. Okay?
I thought you was about to go to an NYPD, New York undercover.
That's where we was going with it. Yeah, you didn't been on the Natalie's or whatever the name of what was the name of the spot they went to? It was Natalie's, right?
I think it was Natalie's.
Yeah. You didn't seen some shit, Torres, while you've been on the clock. So I don't think that it's ever appropriate to beat a kid to that extreme. I'm a person who got my ass whipped growing up, and I didn't get abused, but I definitely got my ass whipped. I got whippings with a belt, and I hated every moment of it. Sometimes I had done things that may have deserved some sort of punishment, but that feeling of fear and terror was not necessary in every case, right? And so even though I don't have children, I think I would take a different approach. You know what I'm saying?
Let me say this, and I appreciate the caveat. But I want you to know it's not necessary. That whole, I don't have children. I don't believe that you have to have children to know right from wrong. That's just me. And there's going to be some parents that you can't speak on it because yada yada. Well, I ain't in that camp, Dustin. Just so you know where we're at when we have these conversations.
Right. Okay. Right.
Straight the fuck up. You don't have to push a baby out or drop a load. I don't even know why I said that like that. But anyway.
You're finna get me started, so let me just remain on track, keep the sting on the rails.
We're gonna stay serious and focused for a minute. But I don't believe that you have to do that and participate in the creation of life to know right from wrong or know where a boundary is. I want to say this about it. I want to ask you this first. Do you believe, so I know you're not into this level of it sounds like how you would describe it as severe, extreme, and unnecessary
physical
punishment. We'll call okay. This is Dustin's framing. I'm gonna have a different framing in a minute, but this is Dustin's. But do you believe that she should have been arrested? Do you believe that some level? And I think this is a misdemeanor charge, by the way, the endangering the welfare. Again, she's released on her own recognizance. Even if convicted, don't expect her to do any jail time. At
Right.
best, this is probably going to be some probation, something on her record. This is really around sending a message that Officer Torres, knock it the fuck off, okay? We're not doing that anymore in this context, in this day and age. Particularly to your point, as a law, I mean, this ain't really relevant, but this compounds it for me because she's law enforcement. We know she's had certain trainings.
Yeah.
And you know, you just could just come at this shit all the way extra, you know. Go ahead.
To me, it just reflects to me, beating the shit out of your child as a police officer, that reflects your policing. That reflects what you do when no one's looking. You know what I'm saying? If you don't give a damn about fucking your own kid up, you know you can, what kind of dirty ass, harmful police work she's doing. I would assume that
in the street,
you know, it wouldn't be a reach to assume that she's doing that same sort of dirty work as a cop. So she's the first motherfucker that should be punished for something like this.
That's a really good point, actually.
Hell
and I hadn't put that together, but yes. So if for no other reason, if we later see this Angelica Torres charged with excessive force in the field, you know, or this or that, well, what we now know, because these charges were brought against her, is that she has some level of history and track record with not understanding boundaries of violence. Correct. Good point. It's a very good point, Dustin. It's like this for me, Dustin. It's real simple. This is absolutely fucked up on every level to me. It really is. And it's something that the older I've gotten more convicted, pun intended, around it. I think there's absolutely no place at all for any child, let alone a Black child, actually, especially a Black child, to be suffering violence from the very people that are supposed to keep them safe, a la mother and father, in this community, in any community, and let alone in America, where they are already subject to such severe dynamics every day that they're out into the world. Your home should be your safe haven. This is what, now, don't misunderstand me. This is not talking about a lack of discipline. I am a very enforceful, a very active proponent of really stringent discipline. Is the I'm like, what's the word? Not stringent discipline. I am a strong disciplinarian. And by the way, discipline is not just for children. Did you catch that? Did y'all catch that? Some of y'all motherfuckers need some discipline. Okay. So listen. So here's the point. This is not about parenting in a way that lets children do whatever, say whatever, get away with anything and everything. Hell to the no. Hell to the no. I only respect discipline, and structure are love. Consequences is love. But if you don't know how to enforce discipline, structure, and consequences in a way that puts your children on a track of success and being a good, safe, law-abiding citizen in this world, then that's a you problem, not a problem of your child. 100%. That is you lacking self-control. That is you lacking emotional regulation. That is you lacking the ability to parent in an effective way. And don't give me no shit about, oh, well, white people, the ones that don't beat their kids. That's acting white to suggest that we should discipline our children in a way that does not involve beating them. That and like you say, even, you know, we can get into this slippery slope of, well, is a pop okay? Or is a little spanking on the tush when they're toddlers okay? Y'all can have that conversation. I'm not going to have that conversation. But because for me, again, this is about holding myself accountable as a parent. This is about mothers and fathers being accountable to their ability to effectively parent in a way that does not go to violence. And that is violent. And I think that we make excuses, Dustin, as a culture and a community, and it's rooted in anti-Blackness, actually, and it's rooted actually in white supremacy. So let me play this woman. She's a brilliant scholar. Her name is Stacey Patton.
Beating a Black child is the whitest thing that you can do to destroy them psychologically, spiritually, emotionally, and physiologically. So what I talk about in my book, Spare the Kids, is I go back 2,000 years of history, back to antiquity in Europe. where corporal punishment, this ritualistic violence against children, was born. And
In
in
Europe.
Europe. And there are white guys who wrote books about this. So, when Black women say this kind of stuff, nobody believes us. But I got the bibliography. A bunch of white dudes wrote this before I was even born. And they tracked all of this violence against children in Europe. Europeans never respected their own kids.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave it there. So, as y'all heard Dr. Stacey Patton say, the whitest thing we can do as Black folk is beat our own children. And this narrative of, and so all we're doing is, you hear the phrase, Dustin, taking on the posture and behavior of the oppressor. This is what this is in the most literal form. This is a byproduct, y'all, because in most parts of Africa, this was not done to us and our African children. We revered our children on the continent. We talked about our children as little goddesses and God and spiritual beings, and worshiped them at the highest levels and poured into them with respect, love, protection, and reverence. It is a very white thing to disrespect your children, to push them down, to beat them down. And think about how natural this is, y'all. We were brought here as chattel to this land here in America.
Lay it out, E.
Yeah, we were shackled, chained, whipped, and beat. Most of us within inches of our lives. Some of us, it took our lives, okay? So how much sense does it make then when we come back to the slave quarters where we reside after long, horrible days in the field? And this is also where a lot of domestic violence from our men and our women arise from, right? You can't hit massa back, sir. So what do? You come into that slave quarter and you beat the shit out of your wife.
Damn.
Mother, you can't hit Missy back in the big house. You can't hit Massa back. You can't beat your husband back who just got beaten, damn near castrated by Massa. So who is the only source that you have control and power over that you can pay that violence forward to? Your baby. Your baby, your child. And you do it under the psychological warfare argument that the white man, the white master has imparted on you, that this is what God wants, that God wants you to bear the brunt of the whip, that this is a part of the discipline of you beastly Blacks. This is psychology, y'all. And I know a lot of y'all don't want to hear it because you grew up a certain way and you love your parents and you love your grandparents and spare the rod and da-da-da-da-da and spoil the child. But think of the historical context in which many of us have been receiving these messages for generations.
Yes, think about what you're mimicking.
Right, you're literally mimicking it. And many of you are going to say, well, I hear you, E, I hear you, D, or I don't, or whatever, but I turned out okay. But did you?
Right.
But fucking did you? And is okay just getting by? Or is okay, laughing it off? How much, we live in the social media era, Dustin, and I mean, I see it. We laugh at a lot of our pain. We make a lot of jokes around the beatings that we got and the whippings that we got and the stench. And when again, I'm not going to give out permission slips for even, the quote reasonable spankings, but we all know that most of us are not talking about no reasonable spankings. Most of us are talking about getting popped upside the head, knocked upside the head. I recall times I had to have on makeup to go to school, Dustin. I'm gonna just put it out there. Why do I have to go get Revlon color stay to go to 5th grade? What was that serious?
Yeah.
It wasn't. It wasn't. It's absolutely uncalled for, absolutely inappropriate, absolutely wrong. Do I think it was done in a malicious way, in a vindictive way? Not necessarily, but that doesn't make it right. And we must, as a culture, stop excusing this. This is absolutely out of pocket. And the extension cords and the wet belts and the coat hangers and all this shit. What the fuck is going on?
Shoes, house shoes, paint stirs, rulers.
Anything.
Yeah.
Coming out the shower.
Whatever's
so it can seem worse. Breaking skin. See, this is what it was with the Adrian Peterson, the football player, NFL player that got severely punished for swimming, to the point where they were using a extension cord, Dustin, to beat this. And that boy was 4 years old, by the way. Beat him around his testicles, genital area where you're breaking skin. Come on.
Literal child abuse. And I've always thought it was fucked up to me. Like, I'll just leave it there. But there's certain elements of getting a whooping, being forced to lay down and then take the whooping. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. The
Getting hit
fear
on your
of when
butt
I
cheeks
get
with a belt.
home,
all of that.
Yeah.
That shit just never sat right with me, and that is by no means a license for gross disrespect or bad behavior of any
Ain't
kind
nobody
towards child.
saying that,
But
and
this don't even have nothing to do with that.
I'm not even gonna allow people, Dustin, to make that conflation. This ain't
Yes.
that. And
So
again,
separate it.
if you can't find a way to get from disrespectful, sassy mouth ass, badass, undisciplined children to beating the shit out of them, if you don't know any way to cross that bridge without turning into a fucking monster yourself,
Then you the
you
one
gotta
need a
look at that. That's
whooping.
on you.
You the one
That's
need
on
your
you.
ass whipped. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Yeah.
that's a serious you problem. I'll end with this, something you said. The fact is that to me, what we're really talking about here is abuse. And I know that
Mhm.
again, that's uncomfortable because we don't like to think of our parents and our grandparents, who we know
Mhm.
loved us. Ain't nobody
Mhm.
questioning that, but still showed up as abusive in many
Mhm.
of these instances when we really put a retrospective lens on it.
Mhm.
And I think when we talk about this type of physical child abuse, because to me that's what it is, Dustin. It's violent,
Mhm.
it's perpetual, and it comes from a place. Normally, if we're being honest, these people are you're not beating somebody with an extension cord or a cable switch and all of this for discipline. You are upset. There is
Mhm.
some level of rage at play. There
It's
is some
cathartic for
level of
you.
frustration. Correct. This has now become an outlet of some sort for you. And the
Mhm.
better you can admit that, the more honest we can be in this conversation. So, anyway, we need to talk about this and hold it to the same standard of atrocity that we do sexual abuse. Because
Yeah.
when is the last time you heard somebody say, Dustin, well, I got penetrated as a kid, so it's okay?
No.
Have you heard
Yep.
that?
You have a
I don't hear
totally
that.
different reaction. Never.
Yeah.
Never.
I know. Oh, well, my uncle touched me a little bit. Yeah, No, we don't do that. We get
Nope.
horrified, right? Generally speaking.
Mhm.
Hopefully speaking.
Mhm.
We say
We
enough
used
is
to.
enough. Right. We need, God knows we need to if we're not. We say it stops with us, right? This was done to me, it will not be done to my son. It was
Mhm.
done to me, it will not be done to my daughter.
Mhm.
I invite us as a Black culture in 2025 to take up that same mantle when it comes to this level of violent child abuse. I really do.
Come
I
on.
really agree with Dr. Stacey Patton that the whitest shit we can do as Black parents is whip, beat, and spank our children and do it in the name of love and protection. It's not, it's some bullshit. It is creating an inherently unsafe feeling and anxiety. I mean, the data speaks for itself
Mhm.
for our children. And then I'm going to leave y'all with this. And it's something that most of us don't think about, but it's very true. If the natural order of life shows up as we expect it to, and we take our vitamins and we enjoy good health, the vast majority of our relationship with our children will be with them as adults.
That part.
That part. That
Mhm.
means they're only that quote child for 18-ish years.
Mhm.
You likely, if God is good and y'all are blessed, and we believe he is and that you are,
Mhm.
you will likely be in relationship with that quote unquote child through their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, maybe even 70s.
Mhm.
So you're talking about decades of relationship with your child as two adults. And it's important, Dustin, that as parents, we remember. So now I'm gonna put the parent hat on. I've been speaking from the lens of the child. So
Mhm.
when I look at my daughter Liberty,
Yeah.
I'm really thinking a lot about what does it look like when Liberty and are 60 and 20
Mhm.
or 70 and 30.
Mhm.
What do we how is our relationship as two grown women?
Mhm. Mhm.
What have I done as a foundational model for what it looks like to be in respectful relationship with each other as
That's
adults?
beautiful, Ebony. I wish
Yeah,
more people thought about it that way.
yeah.
For
Now
me,
don't
that's
be
your
talking
job.
greasy. Now, little girl, don't talk greasy.
Oh, no. Yeah.
But you know what I've done, Dustin? I've already started. And listen, I know a lot of people saying, okay, well, yes, easy to say she a baby. You gonna say, and it's fine, and that's fine. That's fine. But what I will say is this is about doing continual work. And I take
Mhm.
this work on, Dustin, to
Mhm.
educate myself, research, and figure out what are the other options of discipline that will be employed in our home, in our household. And if I need help, let's go get help.
Mhm.
Right? That's another thing. We want a lot of secrets in our households as Black America. And
Mhm.
secrets kill. So I'm gonna stop there. I'm gonna stop
Well,
there.
there's also one more point that needs to be
Mhm.
made, speaking specifically to the Black parental delegation. you ought to be ashamed of yourself, okay? As a Black parent, if you can't get control over your child through nonverbal communication. I don't give a damn what nobody say. Black people, they think
Nonviolent.
we was
Yeah.
gonna get them powers on Juneteenth a couple years ago. That is one of the Black powers that we do have, nonverbal communication that is effective and impactful from parents to child. As a Black parent, you
Oh,
should know
yeah.
how to pantomime commands.
That's
You should
it.
know how to do that. You know what I'm saying? You should be able to look at your child and, like Tyra said, smize. You should be able to do that with curse words through your eyes. It's a way that you look at that we
That's
only know
it.
how to do. So you need to tap into that as
I
well.
love
You know
that,
what I
the
mean?
nonverbals.
It's an extra
Yeah, like,
resource.
again, give it up and shout out to the Torre Show. Thank you for some really great audio to frame this from an expert lens. This is award-winning journalist, historian, Howard University, shout out to HU professor, and author of the book, Spare the Kids While Whooping Children Won't Save Black America. That's, of course, Dr. Stacey Patton.
I'm going to read that.
All right, we're going to wrap up with this Adam Housley. We're going to hit it and quit it real quick. Adam Housley, y'all know, married to Tamera Mowry, so one of the sister twins. They've been married a long time, by the way. And, you know, I guess I'll start with this, Dustin. Since the twins married their respective spouses, and maybe this had already been the case, but as you say, the culture kind of bifurcated around the two twins. There's I'm not going to say the thing that most people are going to say because that's just a little too far for me. But let's certainly say one twin seemed to have more affinity for Black culture and one twin seemed to have more affinity and proximity to white culture. I'll say it that way. Okay. And so Tamera would be the one that seemed to have more proximity and affinity towards white culture. And as such, from time to time throughout her career, and let's be clear, they both enjoyed extremely successful careers. Congratulations to them both. Still working with frequency and it's amazing. But Tamera has, from time to time, had to dip into this role, this posture of defending my white husband.
Self-imposed posture, nonetheless. Well, go ahead, because we didn't ask you.
No, because you know your choice is your choice. But yes, this self-imposed, self-regulated posture of let me defend my white husband specifically against accusations of Black racism and being a racist. So let's take a listen here from one of the times she did that when she was hosting on the talk show The Real.
There are some people who think that my husband is racist because he worked for a certain channel. I'm going to look in that camera right there and let everybody know my husband is not a racist. Boom.
So the first thing I want to know is what was that accent, Dustin? Because it was giving.
The accent was the reason that people made the choice in the first damn place. I'm going to speak freely this segment.
Please.
Okay, because I'm not even going to try to frame this any other way. Her choosing to have an inflection of a Black scent, right, at that time,
right,
that is what pisses people off about Tamera. That's why people feel like there's two different twins. One of them had on Teva sandals and the other one had on Jordans. Okay, there's two different twins, and this is a time where it shows. I'm a gay man, right? Love who you want to love. I'm the last person. I don't never come from that angle with people, but I'm also a person who always liked Jodeci instead of Boyz II Men. You know what I'm saying? I'm a person who I like jagged edge.
Why
you
did
know
you
what
want
I'm
it like
saying?
that?
I have never, I like a little edge or like a little oomph underneath it, and maybe that is word to my Blackness, and I think Tia does too. So the two of them, you know, Tamera doesn't do anything to beat those allegations. I've seen so many. I saw a video of her dancing in a flowered frock, a frilly frock with some brown cowboy boots on, and she was, you know, clicking on the.
She was in Napa. She was in Napa Valley with this white Adam husband. This particular kind of white. Yeah.
She goes out of her way to do things that most Black people typically just don't do. And it's almost she wants to attach herself to the whitest life that she can. That's what it appears from her actions. I'm a person who loved her on The Real, on that panel. I loved seeing her, as problematic as Tamar Braxton is, I loved seeing Tamera and Tamar have the connection they had at the end of that table. it was good to see her engage with another, and Tamera is a very black woman.
Extraordinarily.
It was
Baltimore. That's Maryland down. Yeah.
her all of her documents, legal documents, the black is in all capital letters on all the documents. That's how black Tamar Braxton is. So it felt good to see her and Tamera exchange in that way. But Tamera consistently goes out of her way to defend the whiteness that her husband exudes. She goes out of her way to talk about it. That shit started on the real. She always felt like she had to defend him, as if you can sway public opinion in that way. You got to let people think what they can think, and then do your part to dispel it through your actions. She has done nothing to counteract the negative things that people say about the shit that her husband actually does and says in real life, and has always done and said in real life. This is not a reveal. He's not showing himself. This is who this motherfucker has always been, and she married him. And she knew the things that people said about him, and then she started defending it. Tamera is one of those black people who is only black by birthright. That's it. She wants to be white. She wants to live in a white world around white people. When they had their reality show, we saw her with her white homegirls, as opposed to seeing Tia with that. Who was Tia with on the show? Their cousins.
Yeah.
They're black cousins.
Listen, Dustin, look no further. This is, to me, always a litmus test of sorts. When people have interracial marriages, and I can speak on this because I had one. What do their bridal parties look like?
How about that, Ebony?
Yeah, this is very telling. When you see a black woman, or even a biracial black woman, and which is how I would define them, right? Marrying a whole white man, but your bridal party is almost all white. This is more than just I fell in love.
That's
I'm just gonna keep it real. This is your preference.
Yes, your preference.
You, for whatever reason, prefer to socialize from marriage to friendship to platonic to this in white spaces. And I'm not even going to speak on the judgment piece, but let's acknowledge it. Versus the Tia piece, as you say. Yes, she married a black man, but in addition to that, your bridal party's black. You know? So again, this is a preference of socializing amongst black community.
And be who you are. Nobody's saying that you can't like the people that you like or have the friendships that you have, but she goes out of her way to distance herself from blackness. And that's what we're talking about right here.
That's what we're talking about. And also, I'm talking about Adam Housley is not just a white man. And I know this from lived experience from, like I said, I had a few years of engaging with him 2-3 times a week when we would cross paths, when I was a Fox News contributor, he was a Fox News reporter, but we were both in the LA bureau. And just some tea, the LA bureau is as big as your closet, Dustin. It's very tiny. Okay. Yeah, you know, they don't do a whole bunch of news in LA. You know, it's a little more entertainment skewing. So that was a very small bureau. So, seriously. And so I would see Adam Housley in the makeup chair, and he would see, and he was never anybody that I liked to engage with at length anyway, because we just not the vibes. But the couple of times he would feel the need to, oh, Ebony, what are you going to talk about today on O'Reilly? What's your segment about? And then I would share it. He would inevitably, Dustin, share an you hear Davon back when we trying to record a motherfucking podcast.
Shout out to Davon. I had a good time with him last Thursday.
Oh, I know y'all looked like $1 million.
Thank you, Ebony. Thank you so much.
Y'all really did. Y'all really did. Serious. He would inevitably, though, Dustin, Adam would inevitably insert an anti-black, nasty, stank opinion. And it was so like I didn't want to believe what the streets were saying about her wanting to be white and Pepperdine and her running behind them and this and that. But my God, like, you didn't just pick a white man, which again is your prerogative to do.
No problem with that.
Yeah, the hell, I can't dare for sure say
no
nothing.
No problem with that.
But what I am saying is, how are we vetting these white men? Why does it seem that you've picked a white man who has no respect or understanding of blackness or black people? That's really where I want to go a little deeper on it.
Because we worried about your safety, sis. He has access to the decision-making in your life. You have children with him. That's danger. You're in danger, Molly. You in danger, girl.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a very strange choice for me. And this clip we shared from the reel aged so horribly because,
Hmm.
as Dustin said, this was not a reveal. This recent Adam Housley coming out on social media saying, and I want to kind of, let's see if I can quote exactly what he said
The
for
stupid
those.
ass shit that he said.
And again, unnecessary. Nobody asked for it. Here he goes, Adam Housley. As a kid who grew up in neighborhood grocery stores since I was 5, I can't tell you how many times I saw people come in and out, buy crap food for their kids with food stamps, then open the wallet and use cash for liquor, beer, wine, and cigarettes. Then there were those that would repeatedly buy a lemon or lime. Where is he going with this? Get the change, allegedly, walk out of the store, throw that away and do it again until they had enough change to buy cigarettes or alcohol. As a kid, it pissed me off because there are some people who could really use the help, and then there are those that are working the system. This again was in response specifically to breaking news that Trump administration may ban the use of food stamps for purchasing junk food per NYP. Go ahead, Dustin.
First of all, let's look at the holes that are as big as Swiss cheese in his argument, right? Motherfucker, you're speaking from a place of privilege as a person whose parents had a goddamn grocery store when you were 5 years old.
The highest.
You don't know
Stores. No, 2. It's grocery
multiple,
stores.
right?
Yeah.
Multiple. So you don't know shit about the people that you're lying and describing. There may have been one story that his parents told in that house about somebody returning a lemon. That's not a trend. There weren't people doing that consistently in that damn store that he worked in. Number 2, you keep highlighting that these people was buying cigarettes and liquor. Bitch, your family own a winery. So
You better
the
say that.
contradiction here, you know what I'm saying? And
Say that.
you
Liquor.
weren't 5 years old in that store thinking about what it meant that these people were buying this shit or whatever. You weren't thinking about that. So you aren't a child. These MAGA motherfuckers kill me because they always have these made up ass stories of childhood reflections, anecdotes that they made up. You weren't 5 years old watching the purchases made and reflecting on the socioeconomic implications of that. That's not what you were doing, motherfucker. You're lying, and you just want to try to have something to say. They love to attach themselves to something to try to validate what they're saying.
So let's go to something you said. By the way, I'm loving this Swiss cheese visual that you've given me.
Big
These
holes.
I
Little
see.
and big. Swiss.
It's giving Green Bay Packers. I love it.
That's right.
So, let's talk about these people, right? So when Adam Housley talks about these people that he saw at the Housley Ranch Market, that's the name of the quote grocery store,
which tells us everything we need to know.
Right, I was gonna say, just think more Dean and DeLuca than Bilo, and you
Like
got to
what?
be a certain more Dean and DeLuca than Winn Dixie, because you got to be a certain motherfucker to know what a Winn Dixie is.
And a Dean and DeLuca, to be honest. But go ahead.
And that's true. That's true. So to that point, right? My first thought, by the way, when I read this tweet was, how nice of him to not have to grow up in a food desert. How nice of him. Like literally, that was my first thought. How nice for you to have grown up. Forget the ultra privilege of your parents owning this grocery store. But just how nice of you to be able to grow up in proximity to a grocery store, period. Can we really slow this down?
How about
How
that?
nice for you to not have had to grow up as so many impoverished children do all across this fucking country, Dustin, and not have to grow up in a food desert. The truth is, Napa has a black population of 1.1%. And just so you know exactly how small that is, it's less than 1,000 people today. Napa has it's literally 834 people. That's how many black people live in Napa, at best. At best. So when you're talking about these people that you saw doing all this horrible wrongdoing, I want you, Adam Housley, to name it that these were white people that you saw doing this. Because it had to be. Had to be. Ain't no black folks hardly in Napa. Not that many Hispanic folks.
And
so
you
these
know
were
that.
white people.
And
but when you conveniently leave that part out, Dustin, because we know it's convenient, you do the work, which is exactly the work he intended, as you pointed out, of magnifying, amplifying a pervasive argument that we've had forever, certainly since the Nixon-Reagan years, of the big, fat, black welfare queen that's leeching off the system and gaming the system. When the reality is, Adam Housley, if indeed any of these tall tales were true at all, if they had any truth to them, they're white people that you're talking about buying lemons and limes and quote unquote getting change back. Now, I don't know about you, but the couple times that we were younger and we're on food stamps, we ain't never getting no change back.
Yeah, no one's gotten change back that I've seen. If anything, you sold your stamps, but that's none of his damn business.
Yeah.
That's the point
Anyway,
that we're making. Yeah.
The point we're making is you probably lying, and to the extent you're not, to the extent there's any truth in it, that you're talking about white people, because you are talking about white people. And beyond Napa, so that we don't think that that's just an anomaly, the vast majority of all food stamp recipients in America are white. 44%. This ain't Ebony talking and thinking. This is Ebony citing you evidence from the Pew Research study that was brought to you by the latest census survey of income and program participation. 44% of Americans that receive SNAP benefits are white. 44%. Hispanics, 22% of Hispanics. 22% of all SNAP benefit recipients are Hispanic. And we know they could be of any race. And how many blacks? 27% of all SNAP recipients are black. Now, we can talk about the proportionality, but person for person, the most people getting food stamps in America today are white. So that's some food for thought, pun intended. But the real, where we really wanted to go with this was, I want black people and black women in particular, Dustin, to, as we go about our business of finding love and being in love and being in partnership and building family with, and this is a personal PSA. I don't want anybody to touch this because it might get me in a little trouble. Please vet out the partner. And really do some legwork around assessing the anti-blackness piece, because what we know is anti-blackness is so pervasive that even black people hold it. So therefore, the likelihood of the white partner holding it is very real. And I'm not saying anybody has to pass a purity test, Dustin, but goddamn, it just couldn't be me. I'm gonna just say that it couldn't be me, because my white husband, whoever he was or has been, I would never fucking allow, and that's probably why I don't have one today. I could never allow you to come outside and open your fucking mouth in a way that is publicly detrimental to me and my people. We need complete and utter clarity that you are clear that in choosing to do life with me, black woman, with me, and this goes for black men as well, who decide to marry and partner with white women.
Especially y'all.
Man, listen, this is the time to get abundantly clear about where your white partner is in the revolution.
Yeah.
And this is for those that think it's possible, because I know, there's a whole nother school of thought that says this is the exact reason why these interracial relationships tend to be so traumatic. And oftentimes they are.
Yeah. That's it.
All right, y'all. Well, we got into it today. Didn't we once have it all? Join us next week. McCraw will be right back here, right back in session, dropping, as y'all know, all the time, giving y'all all the headlines and all the culture. In the meantime, Dustin Ross, again, so excited. Dustin's about to have a sold-out show right here in New York City, the first of many. So when y'all get the notification that he coming your way, hurry up, because these tickets in New York sold out in less than a week, and that's real tea. So,
yes, they did.
Stay safe, stay warm. Spring is coming. It is upon us. And what you want the people to do, Dustin?
Read your terms and your conditions, baby.
Holding Court is produced by Uppity Productions. Host and executive producers here, Ebony K. Williams, yours truly, and the Dustin Ross. Executive producer in Dossie, McCraw. Our senior producer, Ashley Hobbs. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any and everywhere you get your podcast.